Yo, hey. Yo, man, it's your boy Dre from the DZN Podcast, man. How y'all doing today, man? It's Monday. I just came back in from walking and stuff. You already know what it is, man. And this episode's going to be short once again because I got to take a shit after this. That's maybe a little bit too much information for some, but just letting y'all know, that's how I'm feeling right now. But anyway, man, what's going on? Hold on, man. Hey, let's make some noise. Hope y'all having a great day, great evening, great afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this as usual. Now, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at retrod.r.e, and you can follow Zoe at young_Pluto08 and Naz at nv.z_, and always and factually every day, if that is a word, you can follow the podcast at dznpodcast on Instagram. And make sure to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, share the podcast, and donate if you feel like it. Cash App, money sign, retro, soundwave, if you want to donate to help us grow, help us out, to get more equipment, and to hopefully, not hopefully, we're going to get us a place one day so we can do this more frequently, do some other things. So we're not just saying donate because we ain't got it. We just saying donate to show y'all support, man. That's all. But anyways, man, I got a few things I want to talk about. But as always, I wasn't even gonna do music today, but I'm in the mood, so forget it. Let's get into some music right quick, man. You already know what it is, man. If you don't know, you better find out. It is the DZN Podcast, man. Make sure we are everywhere on all streaming platforms. Y'all already know what it is. Let's get to it, man. Hold on. Okay. Hey. And this is the 58th episode of DZN Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Make sure to let people know we exist and we doing a damn thing over here. A lot of shit going on. Let's talk about it. It's the DZN Podcast. Hey, it's the DZN Podcast. Hey, it's the DZN Podcast. Hey, it's the DZN Podcast. You already know what it is. It's the DZN Podcast. Hey, we talking about music, sports, life, and other stuff. Used to be college, and now we about to graduate. Some did it, some going too soon. Going through a lot of things in life that we already knew what to do. And now we moving on, trying to make plans to survive in the stands. Survive where we at, and we know where we going. DZN Podcast, you know how we flowing. Dre, Zoe, and Nas, you already know what we going to do. So you gotta know what we here to talk about. A lot of things, or a lot of something or nothing. We not the ones that set the laws, or we always talk about what is going on in our lives or outside. DZN Podcast, you know how we ride. I'll talk about what we do. You know what it is, and you know how we do. DZN Podcast, you already know what it is. I'm Dre, Zoe, and Nas, and this is the DZN Podcast. Just let you know, my name is Dre, and his name is Zoe, and his name is Nas. The DZN Podcast, you know how we ride. DZN Podcast, talking every day on the DZN Podcast. Every Monday on the DZN Podcast. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sometimes we may be a little late, but we always show out today. And you know how we do. You know how we lay every time that we on the podcast. Motivation, everybody talking, that is the greatness of each host and each episode. We know we doing it every time. We have guests every now and then or once in a while, but it mostly be us. Maybe said that a little backwards, but it's okay. DZN Podcast, you know how we, hey. DZN Podcast, you know what it is. It's the DZN Podcast. Hey, DZN Podcast. Hey, the DZN Podcast. It's the DZN Podcast. Hey, DZN Podcast, you know what it is. It's the DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, you know what it is. It's the DZN Podcast. DZN Podcast, you know what it is. DZN Podcast. DZN Hey, man. But all right, man. Like I said, man, it is going to be a light day for the DZN Podcast, aficionados, listeners, and all people who support and know that we exist over here on each episode. But today, man, I want to talk about what's being real. It's a lot of things going on. A lot of rappers getting arrested. A lot of problems getting held up. A lot of people getting hemmed up. Hip hop police, whatever the fact it may be. And a lot of these MCs, rappers, and artists have talked about, oh, I'm a gangster. Oh, I don't snitch. Or, oh, going to jails for dummies or all that other stuff, right? So, but when you look into some of these people's cases and findings, or just looking at headlines and you notice what they're being charged with and what normal people get charged, you ask yourself a few questions. Did they really do what they say, or are they just talking just to be talking? Because we know a lot of rappers and artists we grew up listening to were kind of faking as we got older and figured out what they were really about and who they really are. So why is being real such a thing that they preach but they never live by? I never really understand it, man. And I'm not saying that the current rappers going through these situations aren't real, but it's highly possible that they probably aren't real. But it could be possible that they are real. Who knows? So it seems to ask a question, right? If you're from a disenfranchised area or you from an area of less fortunate prowess or and people and environments, right? Wouldn't you do your best to get out? Now I know that's a goal for everybody, but of course, for the most part, most people aren't able to get out of those situations. But the few that do, they always like to say, "Oh, I'm never gonna leave the hood," but then the hood kills them. Or that sort wherever area you come from, they don't even got to be the hood, to be honest with you, because it's a lot of places that's like all right that people may get clapped at because it's people hating everywhere. People are hating and envious everywhere. So you always got to watch out for those people. But still, what's being real if the people you grew up with don't grow up with you? Is it real if you still hang around them and then they get you jammed up? Is it real if you don't help them out because they're not willing to help themselves? Is it real to just leave them behind because you know that's going to be the best for you and your family in the future? I don't know. Because it seems like most of the people in certain communities really get held down by false phrases and pretexts. People love to say, oh, this isn't cool and that isn't cool, when they don't even know what cool is themselves. They trying to act like they want to be somebody else, but they not really who they say they are ever. So it deems to wonder why these people putting out these things that they know they don't live by. I really don't understand it, man. And it's really disheartening because it holds a lot of people back. Maybe not a really mass number of people, or maybe it is a real mass number of people that I just don't realize yet. But a lot of people get held back by these, I don't know, just these phrases and these ideology, there you go, ideas that you ain't real unless you bring your people up, and you ain't real unless you stay or get back to where you came from. If you want to change something, you got to change for yourself. You can't change for nobody else. And for the most part, you really can't help nobody change unless they want to change anyway. That's like trying to help a homeless guy by giving them money but not teaching them nothing. Giving that person money is only going to fuel their current situation. That's not going to help them do nothing. Every now and then it might, but unless you give somebody real knowledge, intelligence, and game, then ain't nobody really going to learn nothing for real. So all this stuff about, oh man, you ain't real if you don't do this, that, or that. But a lot of people ain't real in general anyway. So the person who's probably saying this or that ain't real themselves. So you can't even trust the word they say anyway. But there's very few people you can trust in this world anyway. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, I believe that is it. But also I have one more lasting point. You know, a lot of the elders or older people like to talk about or really go and talk down to the younger generation when some may or may not realize that one of the reasons that we got to be this way, not saying we as in all of us, but for the people that they're referring to, is they didn't do the best of job of helping the younger generation anyway. Because there's a lot of stuff they didn't teach the younger generation about what life is and what's about to go on in the future, what's going on right now. They failed us. And that's something they got to realize if they don't already. And they can't fix it. So everything is going on right now, because if you want to empower the next generation, you got to give the next generation knowledge from what you've been through. And that ball happened to be dropped. Obviously, crack is one of the main reasons why that happened. But also just lack of not teaching people the game, especially the young ones, thinking they ain't going to listen, when all some of them needed, or most of them needed, was just an ear and guidance. And a lot of people didn't have that. So they did what they had to do. And now we're in the current situation that we're in because of it. So, yeah. But if I had, let's say if I had to give somebody some advice right now, what would I do? Know that it's all in your head, and you are the only one that's going to get you out of this current situation. However, saying that, read and research whatever you're trying to do, whatever you get into, whatever you want to know and learn. We all have the tools to read and research anything that we come across in this life that we're living in right now. Yeah, so say it again. You are the one that's going to get you out your situation, and read and research what you're trying to do, because we all have a way out. We all have a way we can become our own bosses, or just to get ahead or get to a higher place than we are now. So that's pretty much it. My name is Dre from the DZN Podcast, and if you want to follow us, the whole crew, d.z.n.podcast on Instagram, DZN Podcast on Twitter, and DZN Podcast Network on YouTube, and DZN Podcast on all podcasting platforms. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, rate 5 stars, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and etc. Google Podcasts, all that jazz. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at retrod.e, Twitter, retrodre_, and you can follow Zoe on Instagram at young_Pluto08, and Nas at nv.z_. Oh yeah, remember, if y'all want to support us, donate Cash App, aka money sign retro sound wave. That is RETROSOUNDWAV, like the waveform. All right, appreciate y'all for dropping by. Morning, noon, and night, whenever you're listening to this. And we're out of here. Peace.